your own?
Actually, my family background is Christian.
Okay.
They're all Christians. For example, my grandma, she always tells me if you don't believe in God, you go to hell. But I absolutely don't think like that. That was the reason I became a little bit critical about Christianity, and I changed my faith into Buddhism by myself. The Buddhism is really good, better than Christian is I wasn't actually forced to do anything. So it wasn't the Bible and what the teachings of Jesus, but I didn't like the behavior of those people. They were just so trapped in their boundaries. I think about it. Just my religion is just correct. Not yours is wrong. So that was what I thought about it. Learning about science, then I kept doubting. If I fail again with Buddhism, then I can return to church again.
Hello, Nyonse again. Just spoke to a student who's graduated actually, so a graduate student, perhaps he's just visiting someone here in the university, but someone who has had bad experiences in his Christian, his time as a Christian. His family, all of them are Christian. His uncle is even a Christian pastor, but he said that his experience in the church were quite negative to the extent that he pushed himself out of religion and is now looking towards Buddhism. We didn't have a lot of chance to talk, otherwise I would have probed a little bit more. He was waiting for a friend, and also he's a little bit shy. He didn't want to show his face on the video, that's why you won't see his face on this video. But yeah, just encouraged him to not throw away the truths that he's been told about God, about Jesus, just because of the experiences that he had in the church and about people around him, that those things are true regardless. And if God is out there, and he's a biotechnology or was a biotechnology major, try to encourage him to know God's fingerprints in creation through the things that we can see in the cell, in the human body, in this creation. He is real, he's out there. He's not some impersonal force as perhaps Buddhism would like us to believe, that there's some nirvana, that we're all going to go into nothingness. There is a personal God, a God that we can pray to, God who answers our prayers, God who loves us so much that he gave his son. Those are the points that I left with him. I hope he remembers those points. I hope there will be coming a time where he's willing to look into those things again. But that's certainly my prayer for him. So anyway, that's the conversation. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment or two if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next conversation. I start with the same question to everyone, and that is, do you have any faith? Do you have any religion? Any beliefs?
No, but maybe close to Buddhism.
Close to Buddhism?
Mm-hmm.
Is it kind of because of your maybe family background is in that, or kind of just your own?
Actually, my family background is Christian.
Okay.
They're all Christian, but because of their Christianity, I became a little bit critical
of it. Yeah.
Critical of it because I'm not sure about like whether American or other Western Christians, they tell other people to come to church,
Right.
or maybe, well, just for example, my grandma, she always tells me if you don't believe in God, you go to hell. But I absolutely don't think like that. So,
You don't think like that? Okay.
So that was the reason I became a little bit critical about Christianity, and I changed my faith into Buddhism by myself.
By yourself, kind of looking at that. Okay, that's very interesting. Now tell me a little bit more about this sort of within Buddhism, what do you think is the thing that you're gaining there? What do you think you found there that in Christianity you would kind of have rejected?
I think volunteer. So when I believed in God, when I believed in Christian, it felt like I have to do this. I was being forced to do something really good in order to not to go to hell.
Ah, okay.
But just believing in Buddhism, it's not. I'm not sure you will be aware of it, but there is like it's not just heaven and hell. There are a lot of levels in it.
Right,
So
right.
I can maybe control myself and just choose whatever I want to be good enough,
I see.
kind enough to people.
Right.
So maybe I think I think I had a little bit more self, so I can choose something by myself in Buddhism, and what I really thought the Buddhism is really good, better than Christian is I wasn't actually forced to do anything.
You're forced to do anything. Okay.
So
okay.
we have to go to church at every Sunday.
Right. Right.
But we don't. But in Buddhism, you don't really have to. We just need to have faith in it.
Right. Right.
So
right.
that was something that I thought it was something good about that religion.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, so is there a particular denomination that you were part of in Christianity, like Catholic or Methodist or Presbyterian?
Yeah.
Presbyterian.
And
okay.
actually, my uncle was a Presbyterian priest.
Pastor.
Yeah, pastor. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a priest. I a pastor. So yeah, and so like that was how devoted our family was
Right.
to
right.
Christian.
And I'm sure your decisions didn't cause you any. Well, I'm sure they caused maybe a little bit of tension with you and your family in terms of. I don't know if you've shared these thoughts with them yet, or you just kind of not yet. You don't want to cause the tension, maybe.
My mom, my parents didn't touch anything with that, but my grandparents, they are really mad at it.
Okay. Okay. If you wouldn't mind me again asking, how did you come to the question is your understanding of Christianity, right? And the key core message of Christianity as having gone through the experience. How would you summarize? How would you summarize it? I know you said you felt like you were compelled to keep doing good things, otherwise, there was the threat of hell. Was that part of the kind of core message, or was it just kind of something that you just didn't like, but you wouldn't say that that's the core message of Christianity?
The after one. So I'm sure that there will be a core message about it, but the things the Christians do and those behaviors, that was something that I didn't like about it. So I didn't like. So it wasn't the Bible and what the teachings of Jesus that I didn't like. It wasn't. Well, every teachings are good. They're all good things. It's just the way. It's just a different way of teaching it. But I didn't like the behavior of those people, and like in Korea, what I saw in Korean church, it was like kind of just us, just they were just so trapped in their boundaries. I think about it.
Right, kind of inward focused.
Just our religion. It's just my religion is just correct. Not yours is wrong. So that was what I thought about it.
Got it. So now that you're sort of thinking back, obviously you don't like those things, but you would still. How would you sort of look upon those? You said kind of core things like the Bible and Jesus. Would you say that that's still something you would believe in even now, or did you? Yeah. Is that true? Is that still true? I guess.
I'm not sure about it, but it's not. So I'm not sure that whether I believe in it now still, but still I believe that there will be some good teachings and something that I have to learn from it. So, yeah. So that's.
So there's some moral, maybe lessons that you can take away from it and all that kind of stuff. Okay. but the person of Jesus, was he in your mind someone who existed, who rose from the dead, and who is going to come back to judge? Would you go that far?
No,
Oh, you wouldn't go that far.
I
Okay,
wouldn't go
okay,
that far.
Okay.
Mm.
And what has kind of, is there anything that you have found out, right, other than the behaviors of Christians that didn't necessarily align with the faith itself? Is there something that kind of has put you off from these, what I would call doctrines, right? Something that would have put you off from these ideas that you would no longer think that they are true?
Uh, uh, it's just that well, I I really didn't thought about it, but my major used to be biotechnology, and I'm learning dentistry right now. So like I kind of learn science right now,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
scientific. So to keep learning about science, then I kept doubting
Right.
those
right.
things. So
Right.
is it really going to be possible, or yeah? So I think that was the reason. That's the reason.
Right. So some of the scientific
Yeah.
things that you were hearing about and studying would kind of put you further away
Yeah.
from kind of religious ideas. Okay, no, that's interesting. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, so my background is science, computer science, not necessarily biotechnology. But my background is also Christian. No denomination, by the way. I'm just very keen to speak to people about faith and where they're coming from. But my understanding of technology and biotechnology was actually it's something that attracted me closer to religion, interestingly, rather than putting me away from it.
Yeah.
Because when I started looking at and started putting together some ideas that I did have about biology, such as the DNA, and when I married the idea of DNA as informational sort of as a piece of information and instruction, which to me seemed like code, computer code, right, that
Yeah.
builds our bodies. And when I think about that, to me that seems like a points to a designer, right? Points to a designer behind it. And when I look at the human body and how intricately it's designed, how systems depend on one another, how things are so complicated, even a single cell, how complicated it is in terms of just requiring it to live, to work, and the things that go into it. To me, even more, I started doubting, to be honest, what the science would say at the time, right? To
So
the
it's
extent
really the opposite.
it's
way.
almost the
Yeah.
opposite, right? To me, I was like, there's not enough. If evolution is trying to be first of all, evolution doesn't have creative power. Evolution just takes what exists. I'm not denying there's evolution, but to me, evolution is a process by which
Yeah.
living things mutate, not the process by which things get more complicated. Because evolution, by its very nature, operates on the existing data set, such as DNA, right? That's where mutation happens. So that was number one. Number two is, from what I knew of statistics and math and science, there's not enough time. If we believe the universe to be 15 billion years old, there's not enough time in the universe for these things to randomly come together. It's just not possible. Such complexity that we can see would result in a world. Unless there was something guiding it, something there behind it. To me, that pointed to a creator, right? So as you say, to me, it was kind of the thing that made my faith even more sort of solid, even made me even more confident in my faith. And I guess the other thing that was pushing me towards faith is when I started studying the Bible, when I started looking at it, almost like historical aspects of it, the fact that archaeologically, sort of text. If you look at the text, if you analyze it, these things are written in a way that they're authentic, they're historical, they're eyewitness accounts. And so I got to the position, my story of Christianity is I went through, late in my life, through a conversion experience, then went to the church, but then saw that the church was, like you say, failing its own people, failing its own, what they were supposed to be there. Now I'm just not part of any denomination, not any church. I'm just a Christian. So I hold on to the core truths. That's why I was asking so many questions about the core truth. I hold on to those things because I think they're true, they're valid. I agree with the Bible, I agree with its teachings, I agree with what it's saying. I'm a little bit skeptical about church specifically, right?
Okay.
But yeah, is that something that you see yourself ever kind of returning and kind of looking at it again? I know maybe now the wounds are still a little bit raw from the experience that you had, and but you see yourself looking back into it again, maybe?
Well, I think I I pretty cannot I cannot like make sure because I don't know what will happen in the future. But as I have a Christianity background, maybe if I fail again with Buddhism, then I can return to church again. So there
Yeah.
will be I always believe that there will be another chance to go back to church.
Yeah.
Still, if some religion fails me, or if I find something more deep inside the religion in other religion, maybe I think I
Maybe, yeah.
could.
Okay, cool. Because I think one thing that always gives me the source of kind of hope and certainly confidence and peace is the fact that if I look at it, and I did study a little bit of religions when I was going through this process of kind of becoming a Christian. It's the only religion that actually has God dying for his creation, right? I'm sure you're familiar with the verse, right? For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but shall have everlasting life. It is the only religion where God is love, right? Even though it doesn't seem like that when you look at his people, they don't live according to the love. But that's to me that's core, right? And to me it's another aspect of its truthfulness, that if God loves us so much, then he becomes one of us, that he knows our pains, he knows our suffering, he knows the injustices, and yet he decides to live it out, experience the pain on his own skin, so that he would purchase life eternal for us. To me, that is unique, right? And it's compelling. I don't know too much about Buddhism, apart from what you said a little bit. There's sort of you're reaching sort of nirvana, but to me, it doesn't have the sense of personal relationship with God, the Creator, in whose I see His fingerprints all over this creation, right? And if I see Him in action in my own life, and so we can either turn to Him or not, right, or reject Him. My story was of turning to Him because of evidence, right, that I saw, and I see the imperfections in the church, but I see Him as still the God of love, the God who cares about me, His tiny, puny creation. He loves me so much. Yeah. So, anyway, just I would encourage you, if you think about it maybe this way. I don't think about a church so much.
Okay.
But maybe just God is there and He's not going anywhere, right? But He's calling you, and maybe this even meeting was a little bit of maybe just an encouragement to know that there's other ways that you can look to God and look towards Him and look to Him. That is personal, directly with Him. You don't have to go through other people, through church. It can be personal as well. And He's listening. He listens to the prayers, right? I'm not sure if in Buddhism there's a concept of prayer, but certainly in here you have someone to pray to, someone who can answer your prayer. So anyway.
I'm really sorry for my friends.
You gotta go. Sorry, apologies that I
It's
took
really
so much of your
important.
time, and I really appreciate your moments that you gave me. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.